Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is on Information Society's debut album called Information Society, which came out in 1988. Um, Information Society were from Minnesota, I think in Minneapolis, BN. They kind of came out of the freestyle slash electro scene in some ways. They recorded Running back in 1983 and didn't really have too much success out of the local area with it, and then re-released it in 85, and the track blew up in clubs. It was really ahead of its time, really, for 1983, and definitely a wider distribution of it really launched the success of the band, to the point where they ended up, following it up and doing a complete album. And this was their first album, and of course they've gone on to a couple more albums before they broke up in the mid '90s, and then kind of got back in the 2000s and sort of done some albums and still touring to this day. And they really hit a worldwide success in early '88. I can remember I was at middle school. Now, '88, I guess I was in seventh grade. I was 12 years old, and I remember the cheerleaders did a routine to Pure Energy when that was a hit, and that kind of put them. I was hearing it on the radio, and that kind of made me pay attention to them, and so I ended up getting the single, and I still have the single here. It's the promo copy of Pure Energy. If you guys don't know, the 54 mix was hot. The club mix wasn't bad, but the 54 mix had the deeper bass notes, and it was less poppy. That was sort of my mix to go to. The other versions aren't bad on here either, but that 54 mix was really cool, and it had the deeper 808 bass, which back in the '88, that's what I definitely looked for, deeper bass on the 808 machine. But this album, then I got the singles. Throughout the next few years, I got the singles to Think, and I got the singles. Ended up getting the singles for Running, which was released again, and then I got the single for How Long as well, and then kind of after that second album called Hack, I kind of fell out really like following them. Wouldn't say anytime I was a huge Information Society fan, and the reason why that is I felt they were kind of one dimensional as far as just being dancey, and maybe that comes from being freestyle music, electro, but I feel like they would have probably lasted longer if they sort of had like a cult following, or they were a little bit darker, or had some more mysterious songs, or maybe you had somebody like Martin Gore in the band that could sort of sing some other songs or write some more less catchy lyrics. Well, I wouldn't say catchy, but less dancey lyrics. Like, I wouldn't say Information Society is fully one note. Like on this album, they do have, a couple tracks that are a little bit different, but not like, it's not like you're writing Shake the Disease and then you're writing A Question of Lust. Like that's what's going to gain you a well balanced long term fan. Is sort of being a little bit more varied, and having some changes and being able to do different songs, but also having a good follow up album. And unfortunately, as much as I Think, the album Hack really wasn't that good, and the band, their beats are fairly one note for the most part. And you kind of get that on this track. Almost like every track almost has a variation of the same beat in a way. Running being the best one, Pure Energy being the next best one, and then it's sort of like Walking Away sort of has that beat, and then there's other tracks that have that beat. Think is just sort of sped up, and I think that kind of took away from the longevity of the band what they could have had. But that's just kind of my thoughts on the overview of the band. But this is their first appearance on my channel reviewing their album. Obviously, I love the songs Running. It's my favorite song on here. What's on Your Mind is really strong. And I do like Walking Away. And I really like Repetition. Those are my favorite songs. Lay On Your Love on Me isn't bad as well. It's catchy dance music, but it's fairly basic. And again, I just wish that it had a little bit more edge. The singles are good. The album's a little lackluster. What's on Your Mind? I think it's a smash hit. It's a classic late '80s dance song. I give it 3 3/4 stars. Tomorrow's really solid. I give it 3 stars as well. I think it's good. I think it's a good secondary song on the album. Lay All Your Love on Me is obviously the ABBA song, and they did a good job of covering it. Not as good as Erasure covered it, but they still did a good job. And I give them credit for covering a ABBA song. You would think in 1988 that like people are just hating on disco. That happened like 10 years ago, and nobody's, oh no, I didn't like the Bee Gees, or no, I didn't like any disco. No, I never danced to it. Everybody's hating on, in the 80s, everybody's hating on disco, and especially in America. And for them to do a disco cover song and make it a dance song, that takes some balls right there. So I think they do a good job of it, of covering it. I do feel like the second half of the album, second half of the song, runs out of steam a little bit, and I think it's strange that they made it short. Like when you think of like Erasure's version, it comes to a crescendo. The end is amazing. It keeps on going with the amazing chorus of the song that's originally there. And for some reason on this band, they kind of left it short. I don't know if they were like, it almost seems like they were kind of like, they're going to do it, let's do it, it's good, but it's kind of embarrassing. I don't know if we want to put it on there. Okay, let's make it shorter. Like, that's how it feels. Like, it doesn't feel like it really kind of hits the level that the Erasure song does. And I'm not comparing these guys to Vince Clarke at all. But, the song inherently, it has it's very uplifting, and it has like almost a never-ending chorus. And it's strange that they just stopped it short. But I gave it 2.5 stars. A Repetition, I give it 2 3/4 stars. Good track as well. It was a single. The keyboards kind of sounds like Doogie Howser theme song. If you know the beginning, you know what I'm talking about. Walking Away is a good single, really good chorus. 3 1/4 stars. So you would think, I'm on track 5 and I'm averaging over a 3-star right here. You'd think I'm on my way to saying this is a really good album. This is a very good album. But it just kind of runs out of steam. There's only 9 tracks on here. Over the Sea kind of sounds like they're running out of ideas. I give it 1 star. It's okay. Attitude, don't like it very much. I give it a 1/2 star. I think it's very subpar. And you really start to question, can they finish an album around here? Something in the Air, just, it's okay. 1.5 stars. So those 3 tracks really kill it. And then, of course, they add on the go-to. At this point, it's a 5-year-old single. They've redone it a little. Well, not really even. Not from the '85 remix, anyway. But they take that track and throw it on here so it can be they can actually complete an album, is what it appears to be. But Running as it is, I mean, what can you say? It's just an amazing track. It's a great club track. There's times when I've played the whole song because it's like 7-minute long. Sometimes there's like 8 and 9-minute versions, like remixes. I think the original club mix is like 8 or 9 minutes, or maybe it's the extended version. But there's been times when I've played that on a dance club, and people are just going nuts to that beat. It's just, it's like the most perfect basic beat. Um, it's just it is super catchy, and even if you played that part for I can remember like hearing it where it sort of goes by itself in some of the remixes for like 2 or 3 minutes, and there's really not too much going on. And I'll be picking up another record to play and thinking like, are they getting bored of this yet? I just want to make sure because it's to me it's been kind of going on for kind of long, but I'm wondering if anybody else is thinking that. And like, no, Dance Floor still loves it. Okay, it's cool. And then it just kind of reaffirms it. Yeah, this track's great. It always works live. Such a cool track. Running 4.5 stars. I was really close to giving it 5 stars, just for being like a freestyle electro, just all-time classic. I could easily put there, but I think when I give it more of a new wave synth pop sound, I can see the holes in it a little bit. It's fairly basic, so I kind of ended down at 4.5 stars because there's not a lot going on it. It's hard to give something a perfect score that's so basic. You know what I mean? But drawing at straws here for the reason why I didn't give it 5 stars. But yeah, those tracks 6, 7, and 8, Over the Sea, Attitude, and Something in the Air kind of killed the album for me. I add up the stars and it's 22 3/4 divided by 9 is a 2.53, which, puts it around a 60. And because of that, because of me only really liking 5 tracks on here, actually, I like 6 out of 10 tracks. I guess I can change the score a little bit. I was thinking I can't call it a good album because I really, I have 3 songs that are lower than good out of 9, and then there's a 5-year-old single on there. The singles on here are good. The album songs aren't good for the most part. I don't know. It's between a pretty good album and a good album, I suppose. I mean, I got it right now. I got it at 59 as a pretty good album. I felt like I couldn't say it was a good album because of some of the drawbacks of it, but it's kind of right there. I guess I'm deciding right now if that's going to be a 60 or a 59. Let's give it a 60. I'm okay with saying it's a good album. It's just on the very low side. It's just good singles with a lackluster album. But I do like Repetition. See, but Repetition's a single as well. So maybe Tomorrow is the only good song on here that I really like that isn't a single. The other 4 are singles. Yeah. So that's my thoughts on Information Society's debut album. 60 out of 100. It's a good album. Hint, hint. Not sure if I'll review Hack or any of their other albums. I'm not a huge Information Society fan. My love of their music kind of starts and ends in their first 2 albums. I think for maybe shits and giggles, I'll maybe review one of their later albums and just see what it sounds like. I'd be interested to see what it sounds like. But curious what your thoughts are on this album. What would you rate this album out of 100? All right, thanks so much.